Guys, honestly, thank you so much for this conversation. I think this is not just going to help, like, okay, wait one second. Three, two, one. Guys, thank you so much for this conversation. It honestly helped me. And Harsh, what about you? What do you think about this? Bro, why are you smiling, bro? That was so creepy. He's like,
I thought you'd look at them, bro.
why are you smiling? I'm like, Harsh, what about you? Hi guys, welcome to the fifth episode of Speed Session with Galgal. Today we have a power sibling duo with us, Arushi and Sahej. Welcome guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So Arushi and Sahej run this amazing organization called Trijog, and I would like them to just address what Trijog is and everything that they do over there.
Hi guys, I'm Sahej Sethi. I'm the COO to Trijog Know Your Mind. They also call me Mr. Fix-It.
Absolutely. I'm Arushi Sethi Shah, and the chair I sit on represents as the CEO and founder to Trijog.
This organization, how did it start? Trijog, what does it mean? It's a very unique name.
So, Trijog means the light towards your satisfaction. It actually comes from both of our ancestors,
Okay.
our maternal grandma and our paternal grandmom.
Okay.
Tri means comes from tripta, which means satisfaction, and jog comes from jogender, which means the light. They were our guiding lights. They actually taught us what it means to have light in your lives and be satisfied where you are and how you are. So we hope to emulate being that light and satisfaction in everybody's life.
Amazing.
So Tri, jog. And my brother and I never really saw our grandparents, but in their memory and in their honor, we named our company.
Amazing. It's such a beautiful name. And people usually have names which sound very cool. Like nowadays it's like a trend. Okay, whatever is trending, you start a company with that cool name just to get enough traction. But your name has so much meaning and it has so much relevance to what you guys are doing out there. So if you had to describe in a nutshell, what are the main things you guys address as a company to the audience? It's a mental health organization, but the main few things, if you had to simplify to the audience and explain, what would that be?
Lovely. So let's look at it as we have two main verticals of business. We service the industry business and we service the retail market. In our industry business, we look after providing mental health care for corporations and institutions, the likes of Red Bull India, Burger King, Z Group, to name a few. And in our retail business, we look after providing the right therapy to children, adolescents, and adults.
Okay.
So there are three major sectors, like Arushi said. The sectors are the child adolescent group, the adult group, and the corporate and institution group. So Trijog is also known as the house of therapy. So we make sure that we diversify and can cater to all these three segments while providing a mental health medium for the country.
Amazing. So much to cover over here in this podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start this thing with?
So let's dumb it down for me,
Sure.
especially because
Yes.
I'm not that well versed with the industry of mental health. You mentioned the three verticals that you guys are targeting. Should we start with the youth that you said, the young adults?
Most definitely.
therapy?
That's also the
Right.
inception of Trijog. So I'd
Okay.
like just a quick rundown. Arushi and my mother, who is Arushi Sethi, she's an MPhil in psychology. They are the two co-founders of the organization. So I'd like her to pitch in and start of how the whole particular organization came into be. And the child segment was the first one that we went for. So
Great.
yes.
So actually, my mom, our mom, Anurit Sethi, has served the country for 4 decades in the space of clinical psychology. Her service is always very selfless. For her, it was just making sure that the next immediate life gets the right care. In 2015, Sahej and I landed up in the second largest earthquake the world has seen, and we got one more life. We got airlifted by the C-180 Hercules fighter jet, and in that rescue operation, and after seeing death so closely, when you get one more life, all the pretense from your life goes away. And the second thing you realize is all you really want to feel is safe. I met my friend Anxiety on the way back from Nepal in the in the jet and went through my journey of PTSD. While I was going through that journey, I had the best person in the country to help me, which was my mom. But who do all of us have? How can all of us feel safe? Do we even have the right vocabulary to identify what we're going through, let alone accept it, acknowledge it, and then get the right care for it? So it became, I could have taken my anxiety and let it be the end of me, but in every challenge lies so much opportunity, and we took that and we made sure that we are torchbearers of the light to millions around the globe. Anurit was always very passionate about making sure childcare is adequate because it starts young. Imagine if you get early intervention, what a difference it will make to your life. It needs to be preventive rather than, reactive, which is the way the world works mostly right now. So we actually started with therapy for children. Because of the kind of care we were giving, the word spread to adolescents, it spread to the youth. Because of the change it made, went to the adults. When the adults started walking in and they saw the improvement in their own lives, these adults were a lot of adults were people with a mix of CEOs, heading different organizations, and they were like, if this is the difference it could make in my life, how about we translate it into our companies? So really our work has grown organically, and the direction has also come very organically through the kind of work that we put out.
I think instead of a personal tryst with mental health, everybody speaks about that. Mine was actually across a dining table when we used to be forced to study. And then there used to be children who used to at that time come home, and they had autism, ADHD, dyslexia. So I remember this one instance of when this child came home, and my mom opened the door to him. It was his first session. And at that time, I had understood psychology and what goes into it. But my mom opens the door and the child goes, and she's like, "Hi, Kenzie, beta," right? Yeah. I'm just keeping the name as Kenzie because I can't reveal the name. But keeping that in mind, he goes, "Kya Kenzie? मैं तेरी band बजाता हूँ." This is like a little 4-5-year-old kid who comes potentially at home and tells my mom that. 6 months flash forward, the door opens again, and he goes, "Auntie ji, sat sri akal, Kenzie aa gaya." So the point is, I saw a considerable amount of change, respect, because the child was respected, the child was given their freedom, yet knowing basically the direction that the child needed to take. And for me, at that time, I was like, this works, right? And there is something behind this that I would once, when I potentially come to a point, try to aid. So that is my tryst with the mental health space. Yeah.
Amazing. Like, honestly, I feel you addressed so many important points over there, but one of the most important nuggets that clicked with me was the vocabulary, right? Like whether it's someone telling you about something that's happening with you, or more importantly, what's happening with yourself. You're talking to yourself, and if you deal with a difficult situation, but you're not addressing it correctly, it could snowball into a thing which will push you to a very dark space. And I feel having the right sort of guidance or light, which your organization is, in that moment can literally define that phase of the person's life or the life of that person. And the kids example that you just mentioned, right? This is what happens in today's world, I feel, where someone just forms those barriers or walls in their life because they have gone through a difficult situation. It's like a classic example. Okay, the bully in the school he has become a bully not because he likes to bully people.
Once bullied.
He was bullied.
Beautiful,
so now he wants to form those walls around him so that he doesn't get bullied. So the moment he enters the room, he wants to start bullying other people. So it's like a classic example used. And I feel this applies in so many different facets of life where people start reacting to things because of the situation that they were put in before in past. Yeah. And those things need to be addressed.
That's very true.
Yeah. Absolutely. We've always said that you need to acquire tools to learn, but where are the tools to unlearn? Where is that safe space that you go to cleanse your mind? I want to ask all of us a question here. Have you had a shower today? Yeah. So you wash your physical body every single day.
Yeah.
Where do we cleanse our mind? And why have we not made it a lifestyle? Why do we look at mental separate from us? The word mental always came with a negative connotation. Oh, mental. Oh, yeah, mental hai.
पागल है.
Beautiful. The first word that came to your mind was pagal hai. But we need to move from illness to wellness, yaar.
Yeah.
Mental means me. Me is a part of you. You are not separate from yourself. And you know one very beautiful thing? There's only one thing in the world which is universal without, does not get separated by caste, creed, geography, demography, gender. What is it?
Yeah.
It's your mind.
Yeah.
We all have a mind, so we all have mental health. Now, our mental health can be on a paradigm, right? You could have positive mental health, you could have mental health which needs to be strengthened, and you could have mental health that needs to be worked upon, and then you could have critical or clinical mental health. Now, it is about where are you in this journey, and what are you doing to be emotionally wealthy, right? Like, I mean, the application that y'all have is teaching people literacy in the finance world.
Yeah.
Where are we gaining the right literacy for our emotions? And that's what Trijog aims to do.
Yeah, and literacy can be, I mean, attained from wherever, but knowing that that source where you're gaining that literacy from is the right source is very important, because it's very easy for like someone to just create like a video on saying what's right to do, but if that is not verified by experts and professionals, then you could be nudging the person into a completely wrong direction. And
Very true.
and after a few years you might just see that the person has like gone through so much trauma for nothing, literally.
Yeah.
But Darshan, everything over here takes its time. We get asked a question a lot of the times, right? How did you all break the stigma? Yes, we were catalysts to it, but you can take to the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink it, right? So there are basically 3 different type of people, right? So in the general marketing term, you talk about awareness, consideration, then decision, right? So first you have to make someone aware. So the first type is not aware, no action. Then you have aware but no action. And then you have aware and action. That means the third one being somebody who's aware and takes action about their mental health. Now there's a very interesting space which is between the second and the third. Aware, taken action, but when they even reach that water, there's no water over there to drink, right? Which is a very important part here.
Yeah.
So when individuals come to us and they're like, what have you done to change this? We at least made sure that they had purified, it's an analogy, but purified water over there with the right minerals and nutrition for them to go ahead and have when they took that decision themselves. Whatever you're going to do, you all have been to multiple instances when somebody is going through a relationship problem and then you basically come to the person and you're like, bro, I think you need to go see a therapist, right? Do you think that makes any difference? How many times have you felt this yourself? But when you want to take that action, right? And you walk your way towards like a space like us, I believe mental health particular organizations need to be providing the right care when someone needs it, and then that snowball effect will always come through.
Amazing.
Right?
Arushi, you mentioned therapy as a lifestyle. So is it something you feel that, since you said also the word mental has a bad image to it, and when you talk about lifestyle, it means it's part of your routine.
Yeah, beautiful.
Are you seeing a change where people are adopting to this in India, or it's still not become a lifestyle? Is therapy a lifestyle currently?
Or is it still a stigma?
What is the current state?
The current state of where we are with it.
Yeah.
So the most beautiful part is that reality has all of our answers. Look at 4 of us young guns sitting on a couch and talking about mental health.
Yeah.
That is not the way it was 8 years back when we started our organization. We had to build the water, purify the water, make sure that we do the right awareness campaigns, advocacy to start moving the needle. We also had to move it from an unorganized to an organized sector. Today we have organizations for mental health, and Trijog is India's leading organization for mental health care because we were able to spread that kind of awareness, although our nation has 20 years to go. Right now, the purchasing power and the awareness lies with tier 1, and in tier 1, a very certain pocket. But that pocket needs to start exercising it because leadership comes from the top. So if we become more aware, we start using it as a lifestyle, people will start noticing it. It is noticing relatability and then relevance. Tier 1 karega, फिर tier 2 karega, फिर tier 3 karega. But our concentration needs to always be on both. That means whilst we are growing the market of therapy in India, we need to be also touching grassroots. So as Trijog, we make it a point every year with all of the wonderful work we're doing with the corporate world and our individual clients, we do grassroots initiatives.
Okay.
Last year, we launched the Dharavi Dream Counseling Project that now empanels mental health care aid in the largest slums in Asia.
Wow.
Congrats.
Thank
Congrats to that,
Amazing,
yeah.
guys. Great
Like
work.
a couple of years before that, we worked with the World Mental Health Federation, just like the WHO, they're the governing body for mental health across the world. They have like a different location every year and a different, like activist-based, like regime which they want to basically run. We ran the official World Mental Health Day in the year 2020 and 2021 and ran it a lot for youth. So every year, the beautiful aspect of this is, does a stigma still exist? Let's speak about the brighter side, like Arushi said. Yes, it does, but it's changing. And when we are on that wave, let's speak about the wave and enjoy that wave, right? In terms of the fact that there is a brighter side. So we try our best to, from marginalized communities, from like women empowerment. So another part over here to bring up is Trijog is a woman empowered company, and 90% of the 130, 140 individuals we have are women.
Wow.
So that's an area which we try to hold fort to. We worked with even the LGBTQ community, IA plus community last year, and we're trying every year to find that area in the mental health space that still could need some injection of awareness and aid it. And then, like I said, the snowball effect catches its space. And
Great. Because we are talking about the youth, right? Have you guys penetrated school? Or so let's say I'm part of the school. There could be several trigger points: exam stress, bullying, house issues, right? Parents fighting, parents getting divorced. There could be multiple trigger points. Are parents reaching out on behalf of children? Like, just trying to understand how does it work for the young audience, right? Because I find it a very important point that you brought up, that if you start young, your future's bright, basically.
So I feel like now it's become mandatory in schools to have counselors.
Wow.
So the SSC board and the
ICSE, CBSE, all have become inclusive.
All have become inclusive. That means you have to have a counselor in the school. Although we need to create safe spaces in conversation at home so that our child can feel valued and want to go to that counselor. So in a recent initiative that we did, it was empowering girl children with over 1,800 counseling sessions for the socio-economic strata, which deserves all of the right tools. And I woke up just 2 weeks back, and we were doing a review with the heads of the foundation that empaneled us. And she smiled that morning. She looked at me and she said, when we went down into those schools to see what difference Trijog had made, a girl child looked up at me and she said, "Inhone meri zindagi badal di."
You guys are living up to the mission that your mother started with.
It must be so satisfying, right? And I mean, I think the words cannot quantify or even explain the satisfaction that you must be getting when someone like that just addresses how you have touched their life. It must be such a fulfilling sort of situation. How do you guys deal with these things where, okay, this is a situation where the client, for the lack of better words, has accepted your therapy. But if there is a client where they are scarred to such a level where they don't want to accept therapy, they are coming to you, but at the same time, they are pulled in both directions where they are not properly taking the right sort of advice from you. So how do you deal with those difficult situations, or how do you even train people to deal with these situations?
So therapy will work when you yourself want to make a difference, right? The therapist is a sounding body who will basically give you the direction, but you need to walk that direction. So Darshan, at least in my particular space as we see it, right, the interesting part of our space is that I myself have taken therapy multiple times to just see the answer to how do we optimize this, right? How to make sure that every time somebody comes through, it works. But the final answer to it is, it will work when you want it to work for you. So a lot of the times, yes, there are multiple attachments that you need to know how to, like Arushi said, unlearn from. When you decide you want to unlearn that, then there'll be a new door which will open for you to learn new things, right? So there's no direct answer to that, yes, but when you want to make a difference in your life, right, you just tread on the path and the direction, and you will potentially see the light at the end
But
of
I'm
the tunnel.
actually going to jump in over here. I fully echo what Sahej is saying. Only difference can be made when the self wants to make a difference to the self. But here is where our magicians, which is our team, and our psychologists jump in. There is science of psychology. We're not the same as somebody who is not qualified for their craft. This is where how you work with that individual mind comes into place. Hence, great quality will change a life. There can be resistance, but that is the magic of our team. When they help you understand why are you being resistant. Okay, you'll take time to change and learn your patterns. No problem. We'll give you the time. We'll work with you. There is when so many times our clients want to give up, but that is when the craft comes in of the craftsman. Hence, we need to look at psychology as an actual science and craft. It needs its correct standing. You're getting what I mean? And when, let's say, for every individual, there can't be one fit solution for all. So in the case you're taking therapy and you feel like, hey, my therapist is maybe not the right fit for me, because we all get along with certain type of personalities, we can relate with certain type of people. At Trijog, we also make sure that in the case 1 out of 10 people, if you're like, hey, I don't know if this is the right fit for me, no problem. An entire case transfer will be done. They will be properly, educated on that client, and your therapeutic journey can begin with who you're palatable to. So it's really about good versus great, because the difference a great counselor can make in your life versus a good counselor is monumental.
There's a point, I just read a review the other day, and it came, and it was a review given by a client. So it came to one of my therapists, and it was like, thank you for not agreeing with me, right? Thank you for teaching me how to think better, because I know how to think, right? But so like Arushi said, everybody has a different particular association. People are like, they're just a sounding body, right? But the reflection which they give you is possibly the side of you that sometimes you don't want to see.
Beautifully put,
And by the end of the day, that's that. And if you don't show that side to the person, right, they'll always be in a dilemma that, I'm only seeing the good side, right, to things. So at times, it's important to address the elephant in the room. And I believe the therapists down the road are doing an incredible job at their space. And how Arushi put it, we are very mindful about making sure you, when you come with a concern area, have the best suited therapist that we can attach to you. And that's where data potentially comes in. So that can be the next part of conversation. And this is not the confidential part of data. This is the data that comes in and tells me that every therapist can't be great at everything. You can't be a relationship expert,
and
OCD
this expert, and that expert.
Very good at potentially grief management, the LGBTQI community. So you need to find your right fit. And another part I just want to address is that if you ever feel therapy is not working out for you, instead of going out and spreading it, have a conversation first with your therapist, right? When you're in a relationship and your relationship is not going, are you going and supposed to tell the world, yaar ye nahi achhe se ho raha, yaar ye meri sun rahi nahi hai? No, you address it with the person right in the room, which people don't do, right? Which is also why that stigma which was there is like, yaar ye chalta nahi hai. Have you so yes, there is always a probability and a possibility that you don't connect. right? Like Arushi put through. But did you speak to the therapist about it? Did you address that, hey, this is not happening. How else is it going to work?
Correct.
Right?
It has to be a two-way communication. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times we refrain from taking therapy because how often do you want to see your true self? We have layered ourselves with so much that we don't want to go deeper into, because the real you, if you had the courage to face, would be becoming the best version of you. We lie to ourselves. मैं ठीक हूँ. कुछ नहीं हुआ मुझे. Are we all feeling beings? If you're a feeling being and you're a human being, then you have thoughts. And your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings create your actions. But how often do you want to look inside you? And that's why a lot of people don't take therapy, because it's going to be inner work, and inner work requires the most amount of willpower on your side, right? The pandemic made everybody look inside.
Yeah.
That's when we started questioning, because we couldn't go on the outside. We didn't have ways to distract ourselves. We started questioning, who am I? What do I really want? What does reside in me? And who do I want to be? Therapy also brings about this level of empathy in an individual, where you start looking at things from everybody's perspective.
Right.
It's called living in unity. The self is not separate from anybody else, but the self is also still so unique to you.
Yeah.
Therapy really makes you understand so much more about yourself, but how often do we want to open that door?
Yeah.
That is the real question.
You think people refrain from doing that root cause analysis because of the way, say, the Indian society in particular is, structured, because we are social beings. Agreed, but Indians in general, I feel like, are overly social, and even if they don't want to be social, they would be social in a way that they would want to know about what's going on everywhere. And just that fact that, oh, people are going to think about me, like that's like the underlying basis of how our society functions, right? Okay, this chacha kya bolege, chachi kya bolegi, dada kya bolege, dadi kya bolegi. So even if the dada or dadi is not thinking about you, or you might take that step of, okay, I want to go to therapy, and they might be supportive, but you getting scared that, okay, society might look at me as some loser, that pressure itself is like refraining people from like actually taking that step. You think that's a big part?
Absolutely, yeah. We're always worried about what the other person will think. When you wear certain clothes and you look at the mirror, you're doing it for a reason. Signaling.
Yeah.
You're thinking, I'm going out like this, I'll be perceived like this. And it is about the perception of it, which a lot of times does not let you take that step, because society has looked at mental health separate from us. It's a big taboo. And because you don't want to be called crazy, you don't want to be judged by the exterior, you don't go into the interior. And aren't you judging yourself already?
Yeah.
You're getting what I mean?
Yeah.
So really, man, it is because of society. Society has put a very big stigma on it. And it is because asking for help is looked at as a sign of weakness. That is your largest strength. Can we do anything without our support systems? No. I can't. Yeah. I ask for help all the time. I need help every single day with everything. And help makes you learn.
Yeah.
But why have we not asked for help?
Yeah.
Why is it looked at as a sign of weakness? So, when we had joint families, pehle, there used to be that one person who used to be very close to, even if you didn't like the other person in your joint family, who used to tell everything to. Because of times changing, a lot of nuclear families coming up, the way we live our lives now, who is that confidant to you? And now we need to start educating people that the confidant needs to be somebody who has the right training and the right knowledge to be able to guide you.
Correct.
Yeah?
So there are some interesting developments that have come over here as well, right? Like basically, we all know when you need help, you come take help, and if you have the willpower and dedication, it works. The new aspect to therapy, and that's why the whole corporate space is so important, right, to even get to the grassroots cause, is for that 80% of the audience that will still never make the move, right? I feel the conversation needs to change now. I need to sit down with you. You can be the manager in the marketing space, in HR, an ops person, and just be like, tell me about your day. tell me about your week and your month. Tell me the things that you're enjoying and you're not enjoying, right? Right? And let's start working on those particular things so that we can have like a proper balance between your work, right, your family time, and areas of that sort. So the dialogue will change when companies like us penetrate the corporate system to reach individuals, where we try to make it a part of your lifestyle, right? And work on self development, right? And then
beautifully
you
put.
can start seeing those areas which you earlier couldn't see, right? Because right now, possibly you're still blinded and you don't know. And I told you, by the time it takes for you to literally see this, sometimes it's too late, right? So this is the direction now mental health organizations need to take, because to go to every individual randomly and catch someone on the road, say idhar aao, main tera work life balance banata hu,
That's not the most efficient way of doing it.
Yeah.
And I feel that I think that's a great point, because like Indians in general are like young. We see our average age is 28 of the country, which means that we
Yes.
are a very aspirational country, because again India is doing well on the global front, whether you're talking about in terms of just development. Like, we are really developing very fast. The whole global spotlight has come on India, which makes us very aspirational. We want to become like the West. We want to become a developed country. What happens because of that? You want to work harder. You want to like spend more time crafting your ideas, executing your ideas, whether in office, whether you're doing your own business, whatever it may be. Which means you're going to be spending a significant amount of time at work. And if the significant amount of time that you're spending in your life is going to be at work, and that environment itself is toxic, then no matter how much of the 20% you're trying to work on yourself, that 80% will still nudge you
Keep being
towards
toxic, yeah.
one third of your day.
Exactly.
And the second part coming through it is that tomorrow, let's say the people in Galgal, right, your executives, your customer service team, your tech team, doesn't feel that boss is empathetic, right? He may never bring this, or she may never bring this out, because she's like, यार मैं बोलूँगी ये, वो और गुस्सा करेगा, मेरा job खतरे में, all of these things. But this conversation needs to start, and that's what industrial psychology is about, right? It comes down where HRs need to come with like an element of psychology and start training individuals, resilience building, proper communication, and all of these areas, once it slowly develops more, you will start to see that stigma in your tier 2, tier cities and areas like
move.
that also move. Yeah.
So leading with example, one of the groups that we work with, the Kotak Life Insurance Group, as of last year, the number of programs they wanted to run for their people, and as of this year, they have tripled it because of the kind of difference it is making in perception, in people executing or conducting themselves a certain way. Really, the entire index of an organization can change if all of us knew a little bit more better about ourselves. So therapy should not be taken as a problem solution constant. Oh, because mujhe problem hai, I need to go to therapy. Because I want to become more aware of how I need to work through my life, I should take therapy, right? Like Sahej said, we do a lot of learning and development programs with our corporates where we actually teach you how do you manage the mind, how do you build your core resilience, what are your different attachment styles. All of this is psychology, and we all need to start including it in business practice so that our business practice becomes more intuitive and intelligent.
Yeah, I love the human aspect of it, but like I'm going to dehumanize the thing that you just said, and I hope I don't get cancelled for it, but still, like, just looking at a company from a perspective of mechanics, right? Looking at it from a mechanical perspective, if all the parts are moving correctly, if all the parts are oiled well, the machine is going to function well. If your workforce, which are your parts, are not working in the most optimal self because there's some clog in their mind and they are probably executing tasks, but it could be more efficient, the machine is not going to work well. So you oiling those parts, which is again mental health, making sure the mind is moving freely and they are executing tasks not just because the boss told them to do so, because they want to do it. And there's a big difference. If someone's
Beautifully
asking
put.
you to do something
Yeah.
and I want to do it, there's going to be it might be the same thing, but that extra 1% of execution that I'm going to put over there is going to be a game changer. So, like, for companies who might look at this mental health situation like, okay, you know what, this doesn't really make sense, I want to optimize my costs and I want to like make sure my bottom line is going to look the biggest, this will affect your bottom line, because your
Yes.
employees are going to like work in a happier state of mind, which your clients will see, and your clients will be like, this company is really nice, and then the clients will come back and then your profits will increase. So from that aspect, I think it makes a big difference as well. Yeah.
Do the employees reach out directly? Like, you have a helpline? How does it work? If you would
In
like
the
to share more
case,
details.
so we basically create a web application for companies we work with.
Okay.
And we have a seamless induction program where we provide them the knowledge of how to
We
book a
orient,
session.
Okay.
senior leaders, managers, employees. We orient you to, and our session is called Therapy as a Lifestyle.
Okay.
Once you're oriented, the lines are open, and then he'll
So
tell
we
you how
have
to
a
reach
couple
out.
of options. We provide them a toll-free number
Okay.
that is accessible till 2 a.m. at night.
Okay.
And we also potentially have like a booking platform for each and every company. So once you have made a booking, you are attached to a customer service representative. And we've humanized certain elements. People dehumanize it. We humanized it. I believe the pandemic was one area where we took a different direction to the mental health space. We knew that if you want to break that stigma, individuals need to be in a way aware about what they're aware of what mental health is now. But what happens in a consultation? There's so many questions now.
Yeah.
So every time you make a booking, right, you will get a support emotional first aider who will explain you the process, make you understand what are you coming through, how does it work, what are the potential number of sessions you will take, although it's subjective, right, and then guide you to understand that this is the way forward. Now when you're ready, you can take it.
And
Okay.
they'll match you to the right therapist.
Right.
And that is extremely important because the education is not there, you can't just go on an application and say, this person will work for me. You have so many questions about mental health care, about therapy. You need that emotional first aider. Our emotional first aiders are not your regular credit card le lo G people. They actually undergo a BA training, and when they come in, they undergo a 3-month training with us to be able to identify. And I think this has really helped the people actually get the right care that they need and feel safe, like somebody is with them through their whole therapy journey from start to end.
Yeah, the other day I was at a wedding.
Yeah.
Again, can't name the individual. Let's call the individual Soham. So Soham comes and he's like, "You're Sahej Sethi," and I said yes. And he said, "You're the founder of Trijog," and I said yes. And he said, "I've been taking therapy from your company for the last year, and I googled it, and I know who you are, and I know who your sister it is. Y'all are doing a fantastic job, guys."
Amazing.
And like for me, that's the biggest acknowledgement you can get. I don't want to be a celebrity. Arushi is the face of the company. Very often,
I sit on the chair, which is what is the face. I am just a mere mortal doing my service.
and then they came to me and then they're like, "Who's Sanya?" And I was like, "That's one of our customer service." Damn good. And she takes so much care
Care
to
of
make
me.
sure that when I'm okay and I need therapy, it's given to me, right? So coming back to the whole thing about like doing the small things correctly
And
makes
this is
a
huge difference.
huge difference.
And this is how basically the employees in a corporation reach out to us. So we
Okay.
get empaneled with the company. We have certain set of orientations. Then we have a designated line for them and a web app. They get in touch, and that's how we give the sessions.
While corporations have bigger budgets, are you guys also now looking at how do you get into the smaller businesses or it's the same thing, right? Versus a corporation. Like, do you think they will be able to get onto your platform?
Having money and wanting to spend it are two different things.
Yeah. So
We have a lot of corporations, even they don't have bigger budgets.
Okay.
They're still quabbling in 50 rupees on a session price,
Okay.
knowing the value it can make. So it is a myth that the corporates are investing correctly into mental health care. We need to first make sure the ones with the larger budgets are putting down the right budgets, not looking at this as like chana,
Correct.
being sold in the market. They need to set the right example. But coming to your answer, Trijog wants to make therapy accessible and affordable for all. We do have small packages that smaller size businesses, MSMEs,
Can afford it.
SMEs can take. My husband's company, Shark Inc., does a lot of work in the media and entertainment space. And for their team size, which is, I think they're about 20-25 people, there is a set solution for that as well. So if you're a 25-person company or a 25,000 person company, we have a solution for you.
That's amazing.
you told me you all started with the youth. So what was the brainchild behind getting into the corporate space? Because that's where I think now you guys are also acing it.
So I
Before
feel-
Arushi adds to this, I just want to add one part over here. That they say every cloud has a silver lining, right? And for us, although a lot of lives were lost during the pandemic for the mental health community was a blessing in disguise only
Absolutely,
because
yeah.
it opened up the option of online therapy, and that's how accessibility grew. Now, Arushi can add.
Wait, so you're saying before that it was only in person?
The option was there, but you would never take online as a medium.
Okay.
But because you couldn't move away from your house, you didn't have a choice, and that choice basically created a
Online.
online
It
element.
created the whole online market.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
So before it was only physical.
it was only physical. The online option was there. We were offering it about, by 2018, we started offering the online option, but it took till 2020 for the whole shift to happen. Sahej and I were sitting on our dining table. I still remember overnight, retail shut, our main business shut.
Yeah.
We looked at each other in 60 hours. We didn't sleep, and we transitioned our entire business online because we had the right team, the right processes, protocols, everything. It overnight moved to an online platform that anybody sitting anywhere could, get help from.
It gave two advantages. One, you could hire therapists from across India as well.
Yeah.
Because earlier what would happen is if you only had to see, then Bombay would be the
Location,
only unit, or
yeah.
Bangalore would be the only unit, or Goa would be the
And
only
it's
unit.
so cap heavy, yaar, with the rents we have to pay today, with all of the things that you have to do, and the tax that we have on mental health care. You're like, how many, physical practices can you scale and want to open? And is the market still ready to, invest in that for themselves?
Yeah.
So online just removed physical medium, but it gave accessibility to virtual medium, which,
If you had to quantify like your pre-COVID stats on like how much of your audience, how much of your clients came to the physical channel versus now, post-COVID, what's the split like?
90%, 90 to 95% offline to today
18-20?
20% offline.
What are you saying? That's the shift? Wow.
Corporates is a big part of this,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Is for the shift, because 90% of the corporates, because of having their employees across the nation or internationally, will take up the package which will offer online as its main stem. So that's why the percentages have dynamically changed.
And I feel like moreover in places like Bombay, Bangalore, like all the metros where I'm doing my job, I'm going to go home after a long day, traffic, and then you're asking me to book a session at a time where I have to leave again in traffic, come out and sit with you, tell you about my problems. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But if I'm at office and I can tell my boss that, sir, I have a 30-minute slot with this professional and I need to do this, and the boss is happy to help me, and I can just in the middle of the day talk to a counselor and address whatever issues I have, that's so much more flexible, I feel.
Very true.
Did it take time to convince people that online will work? And was there a like notion that no, I have to go
They
physically.
didn't have a choice at that
But
time.
now people have a choice, right? Again, like
So now, hence retail is coming back.
Coming back,
Absolutely.
right.
Like our experience centers, we have 3 retail outlets, 2 in Mumbai and 1 in Goa. With God's grace, they are at their optimum capacity. So retail is coming back. A lot of our corporates that we work with, in the case they need an SOS physical session, it is arranged for them. But answering your, so retail is coming back definitely. Answering your first question, why corporates?
yeah.
The corporate dream is something I saw when we actually lit the first lamp. We started from a dining table, which is like, I don't know, the size of just that much. And, you know, just a little, like, and not even 50 square feet, not even that much. That's where we saw the dream from. Why corporates is because of the propensity and the number of lives it can touch, the scale it can go at. And number 2, because corporates have the money to invest. Each of us cannot afford that 1,500 rupee therapy session. You're getting what I mean? So the way to make sure that the awareness was spreading far and wide, that's why corporates. The number of lives that can be touched, that's why corporates. And I'd be happy to share that while working in the private sector is something that we started and we hold very close to our heart, penetrating the public sector is something that Trijog is also passionate about. We're the first organization to bring mental health care to the Indian Railways, making sure that 12 lakh individual lives and their families have 24/7 mental health care.
Wow.
Wow. And their families. So, like, how does it work? Like, so if someone's working in the Indian Railways, their entire family has access to your services as well?
Absolutely.
That's amazing. It's amazing, guys.
But this
really.
is all on the corporates, right? So Arushi brought in an area to understand that this shouldn't be something that's just a checkbox, and you need to take interest into actually, like aiding your employees and their families, because that's also a very root
It's
area
not a
for them to
CSR
perform.
initiative. It's
Yeah.
something that they really need to do.
Do absolutely. And your support systems need to be also aware, right? Now tell me, if you have a fight with, let's say, your partner in the morning, for example, you're going to go to work in not a good space. You're going to remove it on that colleague, in that email, in that presentation. You're going to just have a shit day overall. But what if you and your partner develop the right language, post even the discourse, to address it? It's a world shift. So your support systems need to be as aware as you are. Hence, therapies for all.
Very, very important.
And you mentioned about the high stress SOS situations.
Hanji.
And what are the protocols that goes behind it? Because I'm guessing
risk management?
There's a lot of risk management involved,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah.
So we have different protocols when it comes to individual lives and corporate lives. In the case we find a high-risk SOS situation, immediately the person is taken into confidence, and we have to inform them through confidentiality. Can only be waived off if there is threat to life of person or threat to life of another person in the environment. We inform them that because this is a high-risk situation, we will be informing your immediate, you have to give a family person's number. So that person is immediately informed by our side. The head of the organization, the HR, is immediately flagged, taken into confidence, and then a committee is put. We support the committee as to what are the next steps that we need to do with that life. When it comes to individuals, the same thing. Your family is immediately contacted, and we make sure that the environment you're in is safe. And this is the way we go about it.
But there are
Very
certain
important,
triggers
yeah.
which the therapists read as well in conversation. Some are very direct, right? Like, I want to kill myself, right? Or I'm not feeling like myself. So that's a direct conversation. But yes, 60% of the times or more, they have to kind of, understand the psyche of their particular client and see whether they are finding a negative shift. And therapists themselves are trained extensively in these particular areas, so that we make sure that every life is very important.
And I really believe, honestly, guys, one message and word is, please let's start investing the right amount into mental health care. A lot of institutions, on the name of having it, are having it as a tick box. and that could be counterproductive. We're reading so much in the news about how in spite of all of the suicides that we have around, a totally deaf ear is turned to it. So when you are empaneling a mental health care program for your organization, or your institution or your education body, don't do it as a tick box. Please put down the right fund to it. The return you see will not be incremental, it will be exponential, because that is real value creation. When you are able to make somebody feel better, they automatically become better. And we need to rise from mediocrity to a realm of supremacy. We all need to start wallowing and wanting that. Because if our सोच छोटी रहेगी और वही टाइम पास वाला काम करना होगा, तो how will you ever be building a psychologically safe company, nation, and a personal self or an organization that strives for excellence?
How do you motivate a person to do that? Or how do you motivate, say, a head of a department or a company to actually take that step where, say, that person himself or herself is not that passionate about this thing, and it's not like they're a negative person. They have never really thought about this whole realm as an important aspect, because probably they never dealt with any mental issues. So how do you show them the incentive to do it?
It's very hard to quantify mental health, but pre-diagnostics is a part where we basically can come to know elements which we need to potentially re-show them. And quantifiable change in mental health, the more it comes, is how you can make individuals who are from the HR space believe in the sector moreover, or in what can it bring to your organization, because numbers, and in a way they say data speaks for itself.
Correct.
Right? So once you have enough information to showcase change, then you potentially go down that route. And Trijog is managed, Arushi's led this very interesting model called trust books, where they take and understand case studies of every partner we've worked with and put it out. We'd
and
love
the
to
impact
share
it's
it as
actually
well.
made, for them, with them.
And every impact is made subjective to that company. So once you have enough data to show the change that it brought in that segment and sector, then other people also believe in it, because they can say, "Arey yaar, media wale log and entertainment would take it, but why do I take it if I'm in the finance zone?" So then once you get like a big fish in the finance zone who believes in the project and the change is brought there, then
It's
all
a
the
ripple
other
effect.
It's a ripple effect.
As if last year our public banks have started opening up an EAP program. This has never happened in history
Word of
before.
mouth is
You're getting what
increased,
I mean? One bank did it, the other bank will now do it. This year 4 tenders are coming out. So very interesting to see the ripple effect. But directly answering your question, pre-diagnostics make you think, oh, optimism भी एक चीज होती है, अच्छा इसका भी score निकलता है. Mood, oh, my mood can be mapped. Insane, I've not thought of this before, right?
Yeah.
So through actual real-time action and the kind of programs we are running in our with our partners, we are inciting the awareness.
Yeah.
And yes.
So, like, talking about awareness, we spoke about the youth, we spoke about the young workforce in the country and the corporates. I want to touch upon a situation where it's the elder in the house who needs mental help, right? And probably the children in the house are seeing that, okay, you know what, this person is not mad. I'm not saying that person is mad in the house, but it's just saying that he could or she could deal with a little bit of therapy. He needs that thing, and this could improve the environment of the house, because a lot of households in India do have a toxic sort of environment where it's not because the parents are treating their child in a toxic way because they want to, it's just because that's how probably their parents treated them in that way and they don't know any better.
Very true.
Like, for example, like beating a young child, right? Like, you cannot, like, that trauma of someone who you look up to or someone who you love is also hitting you. It can be so dangerous for a child's initial years that it can scar them forever. So how do you address that age group, which is already mature? They feel that, okay, we have already lived life to a certain extent where I know what to do and how to live life. So I don't need to hear from anyone. I'm not that open on listening to an opinion from, say, like a young entrepreneur like you or you. So how do you tackle that situation?
So we have a classic example here of a gentleman who is happy to reveal his identity, Mr. Muslim Kapasi, whose daughter actually made sure that he gets therapy, right? We have a lot of these classic case examples where they say, I was fully averse to it, but my children showed me the before and after benefits of doing such a thing. They showed me that there was no judgment around it, and thank God for the awareness that came through. So awareness can transfer on two folds. Another way on how we educate the adult age group or community is through a lot of macro sensitization programs, which we run in the corporates.
Okay.
And here the age group joining it is from your 35 to your 55. We
Right.
do a lot of focus group intervention work with senior leaders. All of y'all are adults at the end of the day, right? So we do work through a macro dispersion of different topics which do not have to scream mental health, but they're actually educating you on your emotional wealth. And that's how we hope to bridge that gap between awareness and acknowledgement of actually taking that step.
So to be honest, Darshan, that's a tough space. Okay. Even in this scenario, the girl went and booked a session and made sure all of those areas would
Were
happen.
done.
But still,
Yeah.
the individual could not go if they didn't want to, which is also a good 30% of the audience, right? You have access, you come all the way, and you don't want to go, right? So an area over there, at least that this question we have to ask ourselves as entrepreneurs a lot, right? And what from the therapist end of it, what comes to us is you need to change the way you particularly are being affected by the areas and things that the senior leader in the family is doing. If they are waiting because they're used to the attention, they're used to being the elephant in the room, they're used to being the person who
Calling
you
the
have
shots.
to, like say Gigi too. Today, you are fueling their fire. And there is a right way to communicate and to get your point across to them. But the moment they see, right, it's not affecting you as much, that's when they will bring that change into themselves or want to bring that change. Till they see that it affects you, it's like the bully syndrome, right?
Yeah.
They will keep doing it because they are getting a stimulus out of it.
Yeah, because
Right?
you're reacting to it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And complaining to the teacher is again adding a stimulus to
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So you can take the analogy in every different term. But the
In
best,
every situation.
correct, the best way to stop a bully is not to attack the bully, right? It's possibly not even to go directly face to face with the bully, right? But it could be tomorrow that something the bully enjoys engaging with, right? Maybe it's time at the canteen. You go sit with the bully and spend some time conversing with the bully. Same the thing you could do with the granddad particular situation.
Catch
that
them
you're
off guard.
on.
Yeah.
तो ये क्या हो रहा है?
Yeah. I feel like we're also a trauma-led society, and we let trauma keep repeating itself. Hence, we don't get out of that trauma. How often do we do things that we're uncomfortable doing, but we continue complaining? Nobody wants to put them in situations of discomfort, and in situations of discomfort lies a lot of growth. And this is the education that we can empower through conversation.
Yeah.
And just asking a simple question. How are you feeling right now, Darshan?
Me right now?
Yeah.
I'm very happy. I'm enjoying the conversation. So I cannot really define the state, but I'm at ease. If I-
Beautiful.
yeah.
At ease.
At ease. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. But this topic that we spoke about is making me think how important the word of mouth and awareness about therapy should go. Because I feel like if people like us are talking about it, and through this video, if now 100, 200, few thousand more people see
Absolutely.
it, and whoever's facing any issue should definitely consider this option without feeling any stigma that someone's gonna make fun of me.
Yeah.
In fact, you should say it proudly that this issue is bothering me. I got help for it, and I'm feeling much better.
Yeah.
I think main thing is
Yeah.
to acknowledge that, like, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't have to be that person that, oh, I'm feeling a certain way, it's probably because of this, probably because of that. It's okay to just be like, you know what, I don't know what's happening with me right now. It's probably because of this. Let me go to a professional and seek help. And that's where that professional can take all the blocks and place it in front of you.
True.
I'd like
I'm
to
going
thank
to-
the entertainment industry a lot for this.
Just
though.
before you do that, I'm going to not let you go off guard so easy. Good. How was your day? Good. How was your day? Bad. That is not how you're feeling. Think again. How are you feeling right now?
Calm.
Beautiful.
Right now,
Thank
yeah.
you for using the vocabulary that we all have. So I'm feeling settled, and how are you feeling?
I'm feeling energized.
Lovely. Yes, moving on to what you were saying.
I was wanting to thank the entertainment industry because the
100%.
conversation has changed from them. Your comedians now look at therapy, although they make fun of it, but they add therapy as a part of a big part of conversing now, right?
Very true.
And other part is the whole comedy space is gone from making fun of people to talking about areas in the world that are making a difference.
Yeah.
So that's an area which has been a big catalyst to why there has been such a big change. And yeah, there
Absolutely.
should be a lot of credit given there.
And I think we'd also like to thank a lot of our partners. Malini, back in 2015, when we wanted to do a campaign called Stand Up to Stigma, she jumped right in and said yes. All of the supporters who've come out from the media and entertainment space, whether it be Sushant, whether it be Faye D'Souza, whether it be Tanmay, a big shout out to you, whether it be Varun Thakur, a big shout out to you, have always supported us in the journey of advocacy. And yes, because we are an entertainment-led society, their voice has so much resonance. And I'm so happy to see us using our voices responsibly. So
Yeah.
big shout out to all of our supporters and the media and entertainment fraternity for getting it main stage. Because agar Shah Rukh Khan bolta hai, to sabko theek lagta hai.
100%.
And it's true,
I
you
mean,
know.
look at Gate Galaxy at 6 o'clock in the morning on Shah Rukh Khan's first show. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I feel pop culture in general, affects society in such a vast way that
Yeah.
we don't even realize. Like sometimes you see aping a certain actor and you don't even know that you're aping that actor. Just because you feel that void in your life and you want to be like, you know what, मुझे वो hero की तरह रहना है. I want to be like, say my dad loves Amitabh Bachchan. So
Right.
back in the day, I see his college pictures. He has like long hair. Now, if I grow a beard, he's like, shave that off. I'm like, but look at yourself. So
Identification, right?
exactly, and I feel if you subtly insert these important cues in like pop culture, whether it be comedy or music or movies, and you make this whole topic aware to people that it's okay to feel a little lost, but there's also a way for this.
Absolutely.
So it's a very important service.
Yeah, and Deepika's done it so well. Masaba did it so well. I'm so happy that there is so much talk and action
Yeah.
with it.
So sorry, I was going to say, so the influence, how brands use influencers to promote their products. Have you all seen a rise of truly organic influence on this topic? But what I'm trying to say is, you guys are not paying these people to promote
No.
mental health, obviously, whereas brands pay influencers
True.
to promote their product. So this organic, by say Virat Kohli stands up and says that check up on yourself. So this word of mouth, has it
Yes.
increased over the last few years?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
When a Deepika Padukone came out with what her depression and what she was going through, all of a sudden we all felt, oh, even I feel sad. Oh, it could be called low moods. Oh, when I feel it a lot, it can be called depression. There has definitely been a snowball effect when advocacy and when people talk about it. Karan Johar just took to talking about it recently as well. 7 years back to what it is now, why are we all having this conversation? Because it has changed,
Yeah.
right? And maybe we all don't have close proximity to psychologists, but we all have a certain impact of this influence in our lives. And we have seen it have an effect. but we are a very long way from that effect being taken into actual action,
Yeah.
which is what will take time.
I think a big part of it is like personal experience, right? Like
Hanji.
simple example is that if I go to the gym, I feel like okay, I'm getting stronger. I'm going to tell my loved ones about it. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
I see that your back is hurting, Papa. Like maybe you should start walking, start taking like care of your physical self. So if I go to therapy or if I talk to a counselor and I see that okay, this actually changed my mood and actually I'm seeing the world from a different perspective now. I'm going to go and advocate for it. I'm going to talk to people about it. So to your like point about like why do I feel people are actually coming and speaking about it is because if they themselves see a change in themselves and they see that oh, you know what, this is something that has changed me and I have the social platform to talk about it, I should probably talk about it. I think that inner sort of motivation that comes, that's not going to be driven by any monetary aspect of like a commercial ad. Like it's going to be like, you know what, this is a cause I just want to take up to my audience. I want to just bring it up.
When you want to show that you're developing in your fitness career, you go put up a nice flex selfie, right? When
Yeah.
was the last time you went and took a picture outside therapy room and said, yeah, I went for therapy?
Yeah.
You didn't,
Let's
no?
start normalizing
So
that,
normalize
guys.
that.
Make therapy
Right.
cool.
Let's start
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because see, there
Yeah.
comes out like
Yeah.
you are choosing to make areas, right? You're
Yeah.
choosing to go to that same bar you've been to 100 times. They've seen you have gone there. They know you have that alcohol, but you will still put that picture up, right? So you are the particular
Driver
reason
of-
or
yeah.
driver for that change, and you means each and every one of us, right? Today, so yeah, next time you are potentially going for therapy, and if you feel that you feel secure about sharing it, please
Talk
do.
about
It's
it.
going to make
Yeah.
World's difference to maybe somebody else.
Correct.
And the entire world is actually waiting to feel safe and be supported. So be that catalyst and the mental health champion that you were always meant to be.
and that's your rich flex.
Yeah. You know, when you're the most wealthy, when you have great mental health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
True.
I have one question before I forget it, right? You guys said that it's so important matching the right therapist with the right person based on her skill set. So, how is the industry shaping up in terms of training these therapists? Like, I'm not talking from a client perspective, I'm talking from a therapist perspective. How do they get these skill set to master into a
Harsh,
particular
experience is also a big thing.
Experience.
Now, today in India, because I feel, see, the Western world always was leading
Yeah.
psychology change, right? From your Albert Ellis's, you've heard from your Sigmund Freud's, you know, the people who've started psychology from ground root. The point is now these therapists, even in India, earlier were taking how many cases and what type of cases.
Yes.
So I can in theory teach you everything, right? I can teach you even how to fix like a car, for example. But until you're fixing newer models every day, right? And these are all analogies, a car is not a person. But by the end, it's only when you practically are doing it, are you going to get better? One. Two, because access is improved, because now the mental health shift has come through, these therapists get a lot more clients that they see. Earlier, they were only seeing very critical cases of someone who has bipolar or schizophrenia.
Beautifully
and
put.
now you are basically
Coming
dealing
in.
with individuals who are going through generalized growth.
Routine. How do I make my routine better? How many of us struggle with our routine in this room? Yay, we saw so many hands go up. It's as normal as that. It's as normal. What is normal? Right?
And just to follow up with that, does it also mean you need to do different types of therapy? Because before
Yes.
coming here, I was seeing there's art therapy, talk therapy.
REBT,
There's-
CBT, the options, sound therapy, the options are
Very
a lot.
good question.
So you need, how do you, the therapist picks this therapy, or
So
how
the,
does that work?
The approach we follow at Trijog is an
Yeah.
eclectic approach wherein we understand exactly what you're going through, what are the triggers causing you what you're going through, and then we use a mix of the right kind of therapy which will work dependent on what you need for the individualistic concern that you are coming with.
And different styles have a better probability rate of success to a
Yeah.
certain concern.
Yeah.
And that only you come to know when you have more data. And data
Yeah.
comes back. So our aim over the years
Nice.
after we penetrate the corporate market is gather this so that you can improve the association of what works or which style works even more,
For
because
what
till
kind of concern.
today it's in theory, right? And the more you do it in person or in practical sense, you realize that this works. Then you go back to your top tier and say, this is what I feel works. And so we are creating a dream team in a way who worked like with multiple clients who want to like change even the way therapy is taught to the newer audiences, right? And that's the
Good. Yeah.
I'm learning so much over here. I knew about therapy, obviously, but I never knew that therapy was so structured and there's so many layers to it. It's just not like you go to a person, talk to that person, and then like you're sorted. It's not that. There's so many different styles. There's so much data that goes in, and so much data you have to assess, come back with, and then probably come up with a solution. It's amazing. Like, and I think people really underestimate the work that goes in behind the scenes, right? Like on running an organization
So
like
true.
this, and even probably the mental toll that the counselors go through themselves, because
Absolutely.
all of us have that situation where, okay, you have a friend calling you and talking about a problem, but after one point, even if you love the person, you're going to be like, you know
"Bas
what,
kar
stop
yaar."
whining after one point. But literally the counselor's job is to listen
Imagine.
to everyone coming to him or her and being like,
also
this is
there's
my
a lot of
problem.
bias involved now when you have this conversation with the same person.
And but what he's saying is, imagine the truth. That day is only listening to problems.
Yeah.
So, and we're very particular with all of the team that works with us. How many hours do we actually manage for the people? We don't let our therapists, go overboard with the number of sessions. We have a cap. We have a support team for our therapists that they go to. So it's really amazing
Yeah,
to
so
learn.
they don't get burnt out.
Absolutely, what the ecosystem would need, and we're learning every day.
Yeah. No, that's amazing that you guys are like being so mindful about your employees, and because that's the main backbone of your organization, right? But if your company had to grow more, it had to scale, what aid would you require, like from the government or from just the ecosystem in general?
So basically, like we've touched upon awareness a lot, that will happen, right? That is going to be an effect that we will see with due time. But there are multiple areas where, for example, the government can aid the mental health community. For today, we pay an 18% GST, right? And a lot of the times clients come to us and they're like, therapy still is expensive, but if you're paying, let's say, 2,000 rupees for a session, almost 400 rupees is going into tax.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
And there are no other subsidies given. There's no insurance today. If you're talking about international countries like Australia, like Canada, you are given an X number of free sessions every single year, which the government pays for.
Mental
right?
health doesn't have insurance?
Mental
Not
health
yet.
care does not have insurance in our country. Mental health care is heavily taxed in our country, and we really need to change that.
And it's a little unfair, right? Because the doctor community, right? Today, a hospital doesn't pay tax. So today, if you're a
Yeah.
practitioner who's working out of a hospital, you don't need to pay any tax. If you're a psychiatrist who works out of a hospital, you don't need to pay tax, right? So simply, that needs to be made fair to all other organizations that are trying to make a shift. Because today, if we are working with bigger workforces, right, there has to be something given to us as a subsidy, as an injection that helps us also reach out to masses, because this is a trap in a way for us.
Right.
So guys, in how business, you are business coaches. In your particular field, do you guys also look at, providing services to specific industry and helping them excel? Let's say it's a sports person or a musician or even a doctor. I can name, the list goes on and on. Like there's
That's
so
very
many different,
beautifully put.
right?
I'd like Arushi answer this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we do penetrate through different industries, and that is why the kind of knowledge we help our psychologists attain about the industry is also so important. So let's say we're working with the sports industry. They will actually really understand what goes in being a sportsman, what kind of aid or tools would be used for their kind of mindset and emotional wealth coaching or therapy? Well, if if you come from the maritime industry and if you're a captain who's on ship, let's say 6 months of the year, what would work for you would be very different than somebody who has to be on the pitch. The same way, if you're an actor versus if you are if you are working in the corporate world, what will be needed will be different. So we actually sensitize our therapists, help coach them in that industry, and then they make industry specific aid to the individuals that they're working with from those industries.
Yeah.
How Arushi put it, like a seafarer would be somebody who needs a lot of endurance, 6 months away from family.
Imagine.
You barely get time to speak to them. Your
Correct.
hours are different, right?
Correct.
From a sportsman who is in that moment and complete pressure
Yeah.
to somebody in the entertainment industry who has moments of fame and moments of shame. So the cool aspect to this is that there's so much more to learn.
Yeah.
Yet, only with more and more time and opening these industries up, right, to therapists could we learn even better how to serve
Yeah.
particular different communities and different industries specifically.
And even to the homemakers, a big shout out to them, because y'all are the ones who are actually the sponges of everybody's emotions in your homes and what the people go out and then bring back in. So we do a lot of work with homemakers as well. Now what they will need will be so different than what somebody else could need. So yes, it is very tailor-made.
Basically, one size will never fit all. So it's
No.
great, yeah. And just to continue on this conversation and like to ask you if I would ask you both one point, a particular myth about therapy and counseling that you would like to debug or debunk, what would it be so that the audience can
Mine
hear
would
that?
be one size doesn't fit all, right?
Okay.
And the last particular point gave you every understanding of that nature.
Would you like to add to the point?
Yeah, sure. Don't look at mental health separate from yourself. If you have a mind, you have mental health. And the second myth that I really want to debunk is, अगर मैं थेरेपी ले रहा मैं पागल थोड़ी ना हूँ. अरे यार, अगर तुझे अपने बारे में और जानना है, थेरेपी ले ताकि तू आगे जाकर पागल ना बन जाए.
Put
Very
it very nicely. Since we're coming to the end of this conversation, and what would you put out there? What is the starting point, right, for me to come approach Trijog or any mental health organization? And one thing that we forgot to talk about was, if you could please highlight the difference between, going to a psychiatrist and a therapist, right? It's two major different fields. And I think if you guys could help educate us on that.
लाइफ में ना कुछ भी चीज़ सही या गलत नहीं होती. एंड जस्ट लाइक दैट देयर इज नो राइट और रॉन्ग टाइम एवर टू टेक थेरेपी. You should take therapy if you want to learn more about your own thoughts, behaviors and actions, and if you want to become a better version of yourself. Number 2, if you're experiencing low bouts, you're feeling not like yourself, you feel there are certain emotions which are coming out more easily, whether it is anger, sadness, low moods, when you're feeling not like your general self for a prolonged period of time, that is the right time to get in touch with a psychologist. There is a difference between psychologists and psychiatrists. Psychologists help you work through your thoughts, behaviors and actions, which a lot of different tools, which is what we call therapy. The minute you move to psychiatry, that is when medicine gets involved. So I would share that before we access medicine, we should try psychology. A lot of times there's a myth that medicines are bad. If the right kind of psychiatric advice and care is given to you, you can actually improve through medication. So that's another myth that we need to debunk. But there is a clear distinction between psychology and psychiatry. When your heart, when you need to do something with your heart, you go to a heart surgeon. When your tooth is aching, you go to a dentist. When you have, when you're not feeling fine with your general body, you go to a general physician. So when it comes to your feelings and your emotions, why do we hesitate from seeking help?
Because we like watching Dil Dhadakne Do.
जब दिल धड़कता है और घबराहट होती है, instead of actually seeking, hey, what can I do about this? And going to a therapist or a professional, just like Sahej said, you would go watch Dil Dhadakne Do or another movie to disguise it. Just because you can't see it does not mean it doesn't exist. Mental health is unseen, but it is the only thing that you need to actually see. The more you see it, the more you seek it, the better you will be, and the better you will make everybody around you as well.
And I think you have to notice it earlier as well, right? Because
Early
if you keep
intervention.
pushing it under the rug the pile just becomes bigger, 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 bigger. And then for you to actually dig through those layers and actually identify what happened to you and where did it happen, it becomes more difficult. So as early as possible,
Yeah.
the moment you have that emotion, just go and consult like a specialist, and that might just fix you immediately.
Prevention
Absolutely.
is always better than cure.
What happens when you leave something away for too long? It ferments. And when something ferments, it becomes acidic. And that acid does more harm than purity to any part of your life.
Yeah.
I think the most crucial thing I take from this conversation was it's never too late. And
Absolutely.
and also, even if you're happy and you're having the best time of your life, this is a good practice as a lifestyle.
For your hygiene.
Hygiene, yeah.
Very important. Like, how do you handle success, right? Like that could be a very important factor in someone's life
Beautiful.
where they might be dealing with all the right things, but sudden fame comes into their life and then they change as a person.
Yeah.
How do you address those situations though?
We do actually coach artists on how do you manage your person versus your persona. How do you not let both get affected? Because there's a clear difference between the chair you sit on and the human being you are. And therapy helps with all of these things. Hence, therapy as a lifestyle, right? And the conversation is on managing your emotions, managing your state of mind. And a lot of people who are extremely successful have therapists. Because once you get success, you need to know how to manage that success as well and be steady with anything. I have been in therapy for the last 8 years because I knew that leading a team larger than we thought it would become one day, I was sure the business would become larger than us. It needs a lot of grounding, and I get that through the right tools. And it is very important, if you want to be at the top of your game, to have your mind constantly in the right place and working for you.
You know, Arushi, you mentioned about persona and person, right? Like, a lot of time people don't realize that the characters that they're seeing on screen, it might be a politician, it might be an actor, it might be a sportsman. A lot of times they are not representing their true self. It's usually a projection of who they are, right? It's a projection of who they want to show. Rather, they want to show to the world that this is me, this is my persona. And it's very important for like the person behind the screen looking at that character and not getting consumed by that character and affecting their mental well-being, right?
Absolutely. Very, very well said. You should have a clear distinction between the persona that you have and the person you are. And it requires a lot of self-awareness and self-education to be able to make that distinction. The gap in our society comes where we think we are the persona, we think we are the chair, we think we are the role. The role is the role. You are a human being, and you need to start looking at things objectively for that.
And I think therapy helps the person like zoom out and like look at things as a whole, not like getting too zoomed in and identifying yourself as that particular thing.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. Guys, honestly, thank you so much for this, because I personally learned a lot, and I feel that this conversation will definitely touch upon so many lives which we cannot comprehend right now. And I hope some people out there listen to this and actually take that step that they have been wanting to take. And I really appreciate everything that you guys have done and everything that you guys continue to do. So cheers.
Thank you so much. It's been
so
such a
much
pleasure
for
for us
having
to
us.
be here.
Thank you.
And thank you for being so genuinely interested. Thank you.
ठीक है, ठीक है.
And then
Start.
can we hug or no?
Mics are there, no? ठीक है, let's start.